which, by the way, if Vegas gave Crosby, traded Crosby to the Raiders, and Vegas got the Bears' 25th pick, you know who's available potentially at the 25th pick? Fernando Mendoza's number one college target, Omar Cooper, the receiver. So you could unite Fernando Mendoza with its number one split end in college. What a great, and that's a huge need for the Raiders. Wide receivers, their number one need outside of quarterback. So it works for everybody.
That is genuinely the only part of the conversation where the Raiders get mentioned. Everything else circles back to the Bears. So I wanted to pull this clip specifically for the Las Vegas Raiders fans out there, because this is your team, your future, and it deserves focused attention. I have talked about this before, and initially I was on board with the idea of trading Max Crosby. But the more I see these discussions evolve, the more I watch these moves unfold across the league, the more convinced I become. If the reported asking price is 2 first-round picks plus a player, you absolutely make that move. You pull the trigger without hesitation. You do it because the draft capital you receive allows you to inject impact talent into this roster almost immediately. Like Nike says, just do it. Just do it. The Raiders need that draft capital to rebuild this team properly. They need those assets to construct something sustainable. With the right moves, you can make this offense legitimately dangerous this season while still retaining high-round picks in future drafts. And at this point, having Max Crosby on the roster does not accomplish what you ultimately need to accomplish. It does not fit the timeline of this football team. It simply does not align with where this organization is and where it needs to go. Here's the crucial part. If you make this move, do it before the draft. Do not pull a Jerry Jones and wait until after. That approach really hurt the Dallas Cowboys. Make no mistake about it. They were unable to use that draft pick in the actual draft, and their defense suffered for essentially the entire season until they were forced to make another move at the trade deadline. Learn from that mistake. Do it now. If you execute this trade before the draft, you immediately have the ability to select at minimum 2 players in the first round. But realistically, if you are competent, you are looking at drafting 3 or 4 impact players this year alone. We are talking about guys who can contribute meaningfully in their rookie seasons. Now, I am not suggesting this automatically ushers in a new era of Raiders football overnight. They are still young, still developing, still learning. Rookies do not hit the ground running with perfection, but they can make a massive, massive impact on the trajectory of this franchise. And then you look at the following year, where you have another draft with 2 first-round picks. Think about that for a moment. That is pretty awesome. That is a legitimate foundation. You are now looking at a 2-year window, where if you play your cards right, you have added 6 potentially great players who are legitimately ushering in the new era of Las Vegas Raiders football on both sides of the ball. Let's just split it right down the middle for argument's sake. You add 3 Pro Bowl adjacent players on offense and 3 on defense over these next 2 years. I am not saying they are all going to be actual Pro Bowlers or All-Pros. Do not get lost in the labels. They are just legit. They are quality football players. And here is the beautiful part. You are not paying them any real money yet. They are on rookie deals, providing elite production at a fraction of their market value. Now fast forward to year 2 of this plan. We are talking about the 2027 or 2028 season, depending on the timeline. You have 6 players, 3 on offense, 3 on defense, who are all trending in the right direction, all on cost-controlled contracts. You have the right coaching staff in place. You have the financial flexibility now to make moves in free agency. Need to bolster the offensive line? Buy it. Need to add a cornerback? Buy it. Whatever the need is, you have the resources to address it. Going into that second year, you are set up to make a legitimate run at the division. At a minimum, the division. That is the floor, not the ceiling. That is just the baseline expectation for where this team should be. This is why I am constantly looking at timelines when I evaluate NFL teams. Timing is everything in this league. Sometimes your best chance to win a Super Bowl is right now, so you go all in. Sometimes it is not, so you exercise patience and build methodically. I am always looking at timelines. And for the Raiders, this specific move aligns perfectly with the optimal timeline. I love Max Crosby. I want him in the locker room. I appreciate everything he brings to the table. But what you can get for him matches the Raiders' timeline quite perfectly. When you look at the rest of the AFC West, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Chiefs, within the timeline I am describing, the Raiders are going to have all the money to spend and all the flexibility to do so at a time when their division rivals will not. The Chiefs, the Broncos, the Chargers will be constrained. They will be dealing with expensive contracts, cap complications, difficult roster decisions. The Raiders will have freedom. And that example I just gave about adding 6 quality players over 2 years, that was just the baseline. That was the conservative estimate. That was assuming you hit on your picks, but do not necessarily land any true superstars. Let alone if you actually get some bona fide dudes. Let alone if you hit on a player who becomes truly special. And that is not even mentioning what happens with the players already on your roster. The Brock Bowers of the world, the young pieces already developing. If those guys can now fully realize their potential because the team around them has actually rounded out, because the offensive line is no longer a massive liability, because the coaching is right, because the supporting cast is legitimate. Now you have a squad. Now you are looking at 8-9 guys where you say, yeah man, we are legit. And yet you still have the freedom and flexibility to go out and add veteran pieces in free agency. Not the equivalent of signing Devontae Adams for $25 million. I know that did not work out for the Raiders last time. But that type of spending. Adding a Cooper Kupp type addition. Taking a stab at a Saquon Barkley type bargain. I am not saying you need those specific players. I am talking about that caliber of free agency spending to round out a roster. When you are spending money to add sprinkles, rather than to rebuild the entire foundation, that is when you know you have arrived. That is what the Eagles were able to do. Boom, Super Bowl. That is what the Rams were able to do. They did not win it all, but they were an elite top team, the front runners throughout the season. So focus on the timeline. Look at the moves you can make over these next 2 years. Then look at the rest of the league. Look at the Bills. Look at the Ravens. Look at the Chiefs. Look at your own conference. See where all their timelines are. You can be in such an amazing position, a great roster with tremendous flexibility and money to spend, while other teams are forced to be conservative, strategic, and are facing difficult decisions. It is the difference between winning and losing. It is all about the timeline. Those are just my thoughts. I would genuinely love to hear yours. What do you all think about my timeline analysis for the Las Vegas Raiders? Let me know your perspective. I read every single comment that comes through, so whether you agree with me or think I am completely off base, either way, let's generate some discussion. Let's get into some spirited debates. But ultimately, let's just have fun with it. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. We are building an amazing community here, and I genuinely love seeing you be part of it. My goal is to create something we all feel genuinely connected to, something we are truly excited to be part of. I believe we are well on our way to making that happen. Do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. It genuinely helps with visibility and keeps the algorithm happy. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.